honey pan loaf has been fermenting for 1 hour. I'm going to give it a fold. This will help it develop strength as well as equalize the temperature of the dough. So I'm just going to dust my board slightly. This dough's a little bit stickier. And I'll take the dough and I'll stretch it. It has really nice extensibility. The addition of honey helps with extensibility of the dough. And then I'll fold it in half so I've got a nice uniform skin on the dough. I'll set it aside and I'll let it ferment 1 more hour. And since I'm going to do this in a regular pan, a loaf pan, I'm going to portion it at 500 grams or about 18 ounces. I'll take any extra dough that I have and divide it up among all my pieces, and then I'll begin to round. Just needs a light rounding to realign the gluten. And I'll allow this to bench rest for 20 to 30 minutes. Again, degas well. Slight overlap from the sides. Tighten my seam. If the end gets away from you, you can simply press it back in and prepare your ends by bringing them in slightly, and then you have a more uniform cylinder there. It's important to have good gluten alignment, so if the dough is sticking to the board at all, I'll use flour. But I don't want to use flour unless I need to, or it dries the loaf out. This loaf will have exceptional keeping qualities thanks to the addition of honey that's in here, as well as the pâte fermentée. Some consumers don't like whole wheat flour or whole wheat bread because they find it to be too bitter. There are 2 ways that we're dealing with the bitterness that's inherent in whole wheat flour. When we ferment it for a longer period of time, that really brings out the natural sweetness that's in the grain. The other way we're balancing it is by using clover honey in here, which will be a really nice accent, balancing out and rounding out the flavors that are in the grain. I'm going to let these proof in a proof box or in a covered rolling rack for about 1.5 hours, at which time I'll egg wash them and bake them. The whole wheat honey pan loaf is done proofing. I can tell by touching the dough lightly on the side, and it will hold the impression of my finger. I'm going to egg wash it before I bake it. I make my egg wash just using whole eggs and water. I want to make sure that I'm not allowing the egg wash to drip down the sides of the pan or the loaf will get glued in. If I'm too heavy with it, I'll end up with scrambled eggs on the side of my loaf, which is not too nice. But the wash will give a nice shine to the dough. The honey that's in here is going to contribute very nicely to the browning of the loaf. So I want to watch it as it bakes to make sure that I'm not taking on too much browning, and if it is taking on browning more quickly than the loaf can bake, I'll reduce my oven temperature by 10 degrees. I hope you enjoyed the demo. Using pâte fermentée and 100% whole wheat bread is a great way to give additional lift, and the honey is a fabulous way to naturally extend the shelf life of this loaf.